Rhode Island companies with most of their sales here enjoy no such advantage. By moving our system to combined reporting, which is used by the federal government in most New England states, we can treat all of our businesses fairly. We need a climate where all businesses are encouraged to grow and prosper. Tonight, I propose that we phase out the Jobs Development Tax Credit and adopt a system of combined reporting for corporate taxation. The revenue we gain from those changes will allow us to lower the corporate minimum tax from $500 to $250 for more than 30,000 small businesses. That is good. We also reduce our corporate tax rate over 3 years from 9%, one of the highest in the nation, to 7.5%, putting us on a par with Connecticut and lower than Massachusetts. This lower corporate tax rate will benefit existing businesses with plans to expand their operations, as well as make our state more attractive to companies looking to locate here. Another important factor in promoting economic growth in Rhode Island is developing a well-educated and skilled workforce. Last year, the General Assembly passed historic legislation creating an education funding formula. That will ensure that our cities and towns have a stable and predictable source of revenue to invest in public education for the first time. Congratulations. Even in these difficult times, my budget honors that agreement by providing the additional funds necessary to support the school funding formula. I am committed to ensuring a first-class public education system for our students so that they can graduate with the skills needed to succeed in life. We must also we're going to do it. It's the best area we can make our investments. We also must make lasting investments in higher education system. We are fortunate enough to have 3 fine public institutions of learning: the University of Rhode Island College, and the Community College of Rhode Island. Each plays an important role in educating our students. Unfortunately, the state's contribution to Rhode Island's higher education, as you know, has plummeted in recent years. My budget reverses that trend by proposing an additional $10 million for our higher education system. Even in these tough times, we must demonstrate our commitment to higher education and to the young people of this state. There is no more important rung on the ladder to success. Maintaining our transportation infrastructure is another vital investment in our state's future. One of government's core functions is to build and maintain roads and bridges. Yet our method of paying for transportation projects is broken. Right now, the Department of Transportation uses proceeds from the gas tax to fund part of the state share of the federal highway projects. We borrow the rest. The number of potholes and closed bridges in our state demonstrates that we need more funding for transportation, but the options are not easy. Rhode Island has one of the highest gas tax rates in the country, and we cannot raise it higher. Instead, we must break our habit of borrowing money to build roads. In FY 2011, Rhode Island will spend $43.6 million in debt service on transportation. That's more than $40 million we could have spent to repave our roads and rebuild our bridges. To fix this problem, I propose a 5-year plan to dedicate the revenue we get from driver's licenses, registration, and title fees towards a transportation infrastructure fund. By making incremental additions to this fund over time, we can diversify our transportation funding sources, avoid increases in the gas tax, and reduce our wasteful interest payments. $43 million in this year alone in interest payments. We have to change that. Another area for urgent action is our state's pension system. Our unfunded liability is about $5 billion, and the gap could be even larger. The current system is unsustainable and a burden on our taxpayers. In fiscal year 2012, the state is contributing $238 million towards state employee and teacher pensions, and that number will increase to $422 million by fiscal year 2016. That's a 77% increase over 4 years. The state has made some progress in recent years to address the problem, but we do need a comprehensive plan. Under the terms of agreement made by the previous administration, state employees received a 3% cost of living adjustment in January and are scheduled to receive another 3% in July 1st. Tonight I propose that all state employees contribute their 3% July raise towards the state pension program. I also ask teachers, state police, and other contributors to match the new state employee rate of 11.75%, since all of these groups benefit from a strong pension system. This proposal will provide $40 million in additional contributions this year. In light of the shared sacrifices I am asking all Rhode Islanders to make, I believe this increased contribution rate is reasonable and warranted. These higher funding levels would last until we establish a comprehensive pension reform plan, at which time we can adjust them as necessary. We expect more information in the coming months about the financial state of our pension system. Using that information, I will work with you in the General Assembly and all interested parties to establish a long-term solution. This solution should align the interests of Rhode Island taxpayers and our public employees. Finally, as we work together to tackle our state's problems, we must not ignore the challenges facing local governments. Like our state, many cities and towns face deficits and unfunded pension plans. Unfortunately, we have contributed to that problem. As I said earlier, we have cut state aid to cities and towns by $195 million over the last 4 years in an effort to balance our own budgets. If we do not want additional cities and towns to face the problems confronting Providence and Central Falls, we must take action now. My budget includes an additional $5 million in aid to distressed communities for this fiscal year to help cities and towns in the greatest need. I also propose a new local aid initiative, the Municipal Accountability, Stability, and Transparency Program. The MASS program will provide nearly $20 million in additional funds to communities that pursue sound financial planning and budgeting practices. Those cities and towns that do not make the necessary changes in the coming years will forfeit a portion of their state aid. Under this program, the state will be able to more closely work with cities and towns to understand their challenges at an early stage and avoid crisis. The state should encourage municipalities to get their finances in order, and we must set an example by demonstrating our own commitment to fiscal responsibility. I want to say a word about how this budget will affect Rhode Islanders. My barber, Ernie, will now have to charge a sales tax that will cut into his tips. But he is willing to bear his part of the burden if we live up to our responsibilities in this chamber. If we spend taxpayer funds with discipline so that our economy recovers and our people are well served, then these sacrifices will have met their purpose. My goal over the long term is to reduce our taxes to be more competitive. And I also want to ask all of you to pledge with me that we will commit to lower taxes as the economy recovers. As those in this chamber know, the budget I am submitting tonight is required to use the revenue projections from last November's Revenue Estimating Conference. We have some indication that the actual revenues for the fiscal year 2012 may be higher than the November estimates. If those trends hold, I strongly encourage this chamber to use that additional money to lower taxes instead of adding new spending. Ideally, we want to continue to get more competitive, and ideally, we could lower our sales tax to 5.75%, which would be a signal to the region and to the nation that Rhode Island is serious about reducing our tax burden. You can do it. Let's hope the May numbers are good and we can get to 5.75. It would be a great signal. Over the last 30 minutes, you have listened to numbing phrases such as unfunded liability, structural deficits, combined reporting, and corporate minimum tax. Let me be clear. All of our challenges are made easier by a growing economy. If we demonstrate fiscal discipline, our economy will prosper. I have been a deficit hawk throughout my entire career in public service. My votes and actions as a senator, mayor, and councilman are a testament to that. I firmly believe that the reason the nation is in its current economic state is that we lost our discipline and let our deficits soar. The many challenges facing our state are intimidating, but not insurmountable. This budget proposal does not promise to solve all of our woes in a single year. Instead, it represents the first step on a bold new path to prosperity. Long-term vision is exactly the form of leadership that we need at this turning point in Rhode Island's history. The 21st century can be another great century for Rhode Island. We must begin to think anew. Getting Rhode Island on the right path will mean make some difficult decisions, but I am confident that we will work together to restore the greatness that still radiates from this State House. Thank you.
Would the committee please escort Governor Chafee from the chamber?
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you.
You're welcome, Governor. Thank you. Speaker Fox moves that this joint session adjourn, seconded by Senate Majority Leader Ruggiero. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the session is adjourned.